Hey folks, Craig Danger, vinyl record player. Oh, back, and today talking about 5 follow-ups to huge albums that I think were a little bit underrated. To be fair, and yeah, I thought I'd take the opportunity to show some great records today. So yeah, stick around, grab yourself a beverage, relax, but also don't forget to buckle up. We're back, and yeah, so let's just go ahead and talk about 5 basically underrated follow-ups to huge albums. So album number 1, I actually don't have a physical copy of this, of course, Electric Warrior, T-Rex, 1971, huge album, number 1 in Britain, charted really well in the United States, sold a whack of copies, probably their best-selling album, followed up with this one. Another booming classic, The Slider. This one's a little underrated. In England, I wouldn't say, but in America, I mean, you got Telegram Sam, Metal Guru, tons of really good tracks on this one. This is still Mark Bolan in, of course, peak form. At this point, this actual photograph for all you Beatles heads, taken by one Ringo Starr, who at the time was doing a concert film of T-Rex. This, of course, was basically only 2 albums into what had turned out to be an explosion after, basically starting as kind of a little bit of a folk rock band with sort of twee, sort of fairy tale sort of vibes to them. They basically turned into straight up hardcore glam rockers. Gets huge. This album, of course, The Slider, really fantastic album. Of course, it's on my shirt. Check it out. Oh, look at that. We got twins, babe. We got twins up in here. But anyway, yeah, this album I've had for a long time. Really classic album. Pretty much cover to cover. This is very good. One of also, I think probably my favorite jams on this one is the one that ends it. Main Man. Are you my main man? Are you now? If you are somebody who has purchased the Electric Warrior LP, I think this is something that you should also have. I think with T-Rex, things start to degrade a little bit, but frankly, almost all of his stuff is quality. But this one, there's not really any degradation. Again, Metal Guru, Telegram Sam are the hits, but again, there's just tons of greatness on this one. And of course, you can't lose with the top hat. Obviously, as you probably know, Craig Danger, massive top hat enthusiast. Actually, no, not at all. Never had one, never will. But T-Rex, The Slider, a high quality, underrated follow-up to the huge and also excellent Electric Warrior. And again, since you're here, like, subscribe, super helps the video, helps the channel. It maybe helps me to maybe put out a few more videos now and again. Again, it's been a little bit tough lately. But anyway, my question to you is follow-ups of great albums that are maybe a little bit underrated. What do you got? Just let me know in the comments, because I'm always interested in sort of those albums that follow the huge ones that maybe just don't get the credit that they deserve. So yeah, put in the comments, and again, don't forget to like and subscribe. So let's talk about this one. How about I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You? This, of course, released in '67, monster album. First album for Aretha on Atlantic after basically a absolutely brutal failure of a run at Columbia. Columbia just couldn't figure out what they wanted to do with her. A lot of standards. It just really, there was nothing. She was not sounding like she would then sound on Atlantic. So this is released, goes huge, amazing stuff. I can't say enough about this album. This is really kind of the beginning of her Atlantic period, and ooh, what a scorcher this one is. But then what follows it? How about one of the most underrated follow-ups of all time, Aretha Arrives. Same sessions on this one, of course, but you know what? All really fantastic. Obviously, the hit on this is Baby I Love You. She does a cover of Satisfaction. But, you know, cover to cover, this is really excellent. The thing is, you're talking about a period where Aretha, in my opinion, between 67 and basically 72, there just was not a bad album. Everything was fantastic, but certainly Jerry Wexler, head of Atlantic, along with Ahmet Ertegun, producing this stuff, all really fantastic. This, because it was recorded in the same session, this was probably recorded in New York. They had started some recordings at Fame Studios in Muscle Shoals, and then I think they basically moved it to New York. But this one never really gets any kind of respect because it sort of is what they might call the leftover songs from, of course, this session. But you know what? Doesn't matter. Still great stuff. And yeah, this one did not sell as much. Of course, Baby I Love You, though, did go to, I believe, number 4 on the Billboard chart. Fantastic song. But again, this album is not to be slept on. A true classic in a classic period from a legendary artist, Aretha Franklin. Aretha Arrives from 67. That would be her second LP from 1967, and her second also on the Atlantic label. How about this? One of my favorite bands. How about Free, Fire and Water? Huge album, obviously. A song that many of us are like, well, I'm not sure I need to hear that again. And that's, of course, All Right Now from Fire and Water. Fire and Water, a huge album for them. In fact, probably their best-selling album. This, of course, I believe is their third album, as far as I recall, because I know they had Tons of Sobs, and then I think the self-titled. But this one was kind of really their breakthrough, thanks to, of course, All Right Now. Great album, cover to cover. This one's a classic. But you know what? Not a lot of people look at Highway by Free. Not the best cover art on this one. But you know what? There are some good ones on this one. Obviously, the Highway song. The single on this one was The Stealer. And actually, you know what? Didn't do very much at all. Apparently, they went into the sessions for this kind of, you know, feeling really kind of satisfied, knowing that finally they had broken through. They had been working for a couple of years and kind of a lot of sort of meandering chart success, not really anything of dramatic sort of success. And then, of course, All Right Now comes out and huge success. So everyone's feeling really relaxed. They do this session, which, of course, again, this album is very good. Much more low-key sounding and much more of, I guess, a sort of a chill, less rockin' vibe than, of course, the previous album. And apparently they were in very good spirits. This album, of course, is very similar to the previous in that most of the songs are Paul Rodgers and Andy Fraser written. So fantastic stuff. Unfortunately, it was around this time when basically the band started to go bad. Obviously, guitarist Paul Kossoff had started to develop a bit of a big problem with drugs and alcohol. This, of course, would be their last album with this particular lineup of the band fully, and that's simply because after this, Andy Fraser left. And of course, Paul Kossoff would appear on Heartbreaker, their final LP, but you know what? Frankly, he was not fully on that album. And of course, they did pick up a couple of different players for the final album, Heartbreaker. But you know what? This album is still a very good album. Be My Friend is a good one. Sunny Day. Yeah. Again, this is very, very underrated, and I think really you can pick this one up for probably under $10 all day. Wasn't a big seller, didn't chart, and in a way, sadly, kind of really created the demise of the band. However, of course, you know, Paul Rodgers would go on to Bad Company. Bad Company would go on for quite a period of time, sell a billion, trillion records. And of course, Free would be in the dust. But Free Highway from 71, I believe. Interesting sort of back piece on this. But again, really good album. And again, it's all Rodgers Fraser songs mostly, at least 7 to 9 or something. And yeah, a really good album that really a little underrated compared to the previous, you know, Fire and Water, which again is a absolute banger. This one also very good. Yeah, so 71, what do we get? Oh, how about Gladys Knight and the Pips, If I Were Your Woman? Monster single. I believe it was top 5, but it was at least top 10. And this album, of course, at this point was the highest charting album up until that point. Really not selling because of the excellent graphic design, of course. I mean, the graphic design I don't think was a big selling point. They didn't have the Photoshop back in those days. But anyway, interesting cover, good album, but you know what? Better album from 71, later in 71, I believe, going towards December. That was April. This was December, and Ovation. Ooh, cover to cover classics. Some production on this one by soul sort of producer, megastar Johnny Bristol, of course. But like the songs on this one, like Make Me the Woman You Come Home To, Can You Give Me a Love with a Guarantee, The Long and Winding Road. Ooh, fantastic cover of The Long Winding Road on this one. But you know what? This is basically my favorite Gladys Knight and the Pips LP, and is available relatively cheaply. I would say almost everything from Gladys Knight and the Pips is available relatively cheaply, and this album is super worth a pickup. Like I say, cover to cover, this one is great. I would not say that. There are a nut or two on the old If I Were Your Woman, but this one, ooh, banging, great. Also from 71, and really, I think one of her best, and in my opinion, her best album on the Motown imprint. Of course, soul, I guess, is the correct imprint. But yeah, classic Ovation, Gladys Knight and the Pips, and oh, look at that! Look at the cover of it, delicious. Gladys looking delicious on this one, and of course, ooh, how about those pink ruffle shirts, courtesy of the Pips? I mean, you know, best dressed tuxedos in 1971. I don't know that I'd say that, but probably in the running. So Ovation, Gladys Knight and the Pips from 71, following up, of course, If I Were Your Woman. Of course, finally, one more that I do not have a physical copy of course, that would be this one, Burrito Deluxe. Obviously, their final LP with Graham Parsons, maybe not seen as their best album, but certainly everyone who's into the Flying Burrito Brothers is like, oh, man, those Graham Parsons albums, incredible, incredible. Obviously, the superior album is the Gilded Palace of Sin from, of course, 69. Burrito Deluxe is 71. And what happens? Well, Graham Parsons decides, hey, you know what? I want to hang out with the Rolling Stones, and I want to hang out with Keith Richards. And you know what? This Flying Burrito stuff, not really interested. And then, of course, what happens is Chris Hillman, ex of the Byrds, just basically comes out and says, hey, Graham, you're fired, bro. And of course, that ended up working out well because he got to go hang out with of course, Keith Richards. But you know what? Then in 71, they released the Flying Burrito Brothers, the self-titled LP, featuring one Rick Roberts on lead vocal. And you know what? Really, really great album. Super underrated album. Most people don't even look at this one. This one's much more poppy. I would say it's much more close. It's closer to the Byrds than it is the Flying Burrito Brothers in terms of it being a straight country vehicle. But you know what? This is really, really good. Starting out with, obviously, White Line Fever. But you know what? There's some great ones on here. Rick Roberts sort of displaying his I guess, first licks of his really immense songwriting talent. He went on, of course, to front the band Firefall. Not a huge Firefall guy, but I think this album is fantastic. I think as a vocalist, he's fantastic too. But of course, Chris Hillman also all over this LP. There's some co-writes by Rick Roberts and Chris Hillman. Of course, after this album, the band would not last very long from there. Sneaky Pete, right here, one of the most, I would say the most idiosyncratic slide player, or rather steel player ever. But certainly, I mean, the man was a madman on the pedal steel, and he sort of left the band to do some session stuff. Of course, Bernie Ledden, of course, would also leave the band, and who would he join? He joined the Eagles. And after that, of course, we go on to Firefall. Chris Hillman, he ends up forming basically a supergroup that lasts couple of albums. And of course, Michael Clarke also would end up in Firefall as well. But you know what? In the meantime, this album, like I say, really good. Some good banjo on this, some quality playing overall, and of course, Sneaky Pete. Woo, man's a pedal steel master, and he's kind of all over this one. But yeah, this one, do not sleep on this one if you are a Flying Burrito Brothers fan. Like I said, this is sort of seen as their last sort of mainstream album. The band continued in a number of different formations, up into the 2000s even. But this is kind of the last sort of semblance of that original band. And like I say, this is a really great record. Also a Dylan cover on this one as well, which of course is To Ramona. And cover to cover, I think this is a really fantastic one. Also, Tried So Hard, the Gene Clark song, a great version. In fact, my favorite version of that song. So the Flying Burrito Brothers, self-titled from '71, really underrated, at least compared to Burrito Deluxe and the Gilded Palace of Sin. But you know what? It shouldn't be, because this is actually a really great record. Hey, thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. Like, subscribe, and certainly, again, appreciate all of you for being here. And hey, what can I say? Except I will have to see you on the next one.